Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the ThePCelitist. My name is Woodsie. Today is Saturday. It's Saturday morning, and I am looking forward to a weekend full of video games because it's an extra long weekend. I have Monday off. I hope a lot of you have an extra long weekend to enjoy a great hobby. So, I'm sure most of you, your hobby of choice is video games. So I hope you get to enjoy this weekend as much as I will. I wanted to thank everyone who left a comment on the last two videos, and the last video especially. I've started to realize that definitely a meat and potatoes part of this channel, now that I'm doing it alone, will be a strong interaction between what is said in the comments and what affects the show, in order to evolve discussions and to have a lot of interaction. Because doing it alone, there's no longer someone right in the room with me to bounce ideas off of. It has to be, with you the listeners, which is great because everyone's got such great ideas and new show ideas, and it's so easy to, I have a big list of show ideas, and just I see something and go, that's a show, and I just add it in. So it's really an awesome experience so far. I hope you guys have been enjoying the first week, and I always want to encourage any suggestions that you have about the format of the show, or something you particularly like and want to hear more of, or something you don't like and want to see less of. I definitely want to hear all those suggestions just so I can make a better show and refine it. And I've actually had a suggestion that's come across from numerous people. Let me just throw it out there so everyone kind of knows. It's been said that by a few people that maybe I should announce what the next show subject will be on this show. So, at the end of this episode, I'll say, next time on the ThePCelitist, we'll be talking about X. That's not actually how I function. I have a list of things that are interest that I have, think that could be a show, but generally when I sit down to record, it's whatever I kind of thought about that day, or what's interesting to me right now. So there's a certain spontaneity to it, and I don't want to kind of put myself in a corner and say I said next week I have to talk about this, so that's what I'll do. But there's definitely, I think, a benefit to give you guys a heads up. This is going to be the discussion, and you guys can think about it along with me for the next couple days, and then we'll all talk about it come that day. But I don't know. I also think the fact that I'm going to be doing a lot more shows during the week will be beneficial to that whole process. That I'll do a show on Monday, and I'll get a bunch of comments on Monday, and then maybe we'll talk about the evolved discussion on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So, but let me know what you think. If that's something everyone really wants, then maybe we'll go down that path and try it out. This is a rebuilding process for the show, and I want to try different things and see how they work out. I try to pretty much respond to everyone who commented on the last video via the comments. Some of you needs more loot. I think I don't know what's going on. I can't respond to certain people. I can't hit there's no reply button for me to hit, and I'm wondering if that's a setting on their side. But a few people mentioned VR, and I started thinking about it because this is a very realistic I think depiction of PC gaming. Is that my computer is 5 years old, and I'm in that weird in-between where I don't really have to upgrade right now. There's no game that's just killing my system because I bought a very good system 5 years ago. But it's reaching the point where I can't just mindlessly max out everything, and that's starting to bother me a little bit in the sense that I have to kind of constantly think about what my graphics settings are at. which doesn't help for immersion when suddenly the frame rates drop out from under you and you have to think about your graphics settings in the middle of a game. So it's actually an immersive experience not to have to deal with that stuff. So, and the other side of it is that when I do upgrade, I want to account for VR, which is a very heavy weight to lift for any PC system. So I'd have to really buy a lot more machine than I would think I have to. I have some ideas already of what I want to buy, but yeah, you're dealing with a guy who doesn't have like 2 Titans SLI'd inside his system. I have 580 overclocked EVGA NVIDIA card in there. It's not a beast by any means. I'm sure most people listening have a much better system than I do. That actually, strangely enough, does a little bit of the directing of what footage I put up on the channel, because I can't enjoy and play a game that's incredibly graphic intensive and recorded at the same time, because it bogs down my system so much. So I usually pick games that are kind of light on requirements so that I could get a decent recording. But it is definitely a visual blog of what I am enjoying at the time. I just make like choices like Heroes of the Storm is not a problem whatsoever. I could just hit record and I don't lose any frame rates for that. But I can't record The Witcher 3 because that thing already destroys my system in the first place. So the VR discussion, I just want to touch on this real quick. I know a lot of people are skeptical about VR, and I don't want to say that it's well, if you haven't used it, then that's probably why you're skeptical, because I know a lot of people who are skeptical and haven't used it, and I don't think that using it is going to convert you if you're in the wrong mindset. My mindset when it comes to VR is I don't look at the gaming landscape as it is now and think, wow, let's apply VR to all the things. Because I think VR will be its own platform in a way, and I think a lot of new gaming experiences will crop up, have already started to crop up, due to it just being in development kits. You know, if you go on to Oculus Rift, their like game section, you just see tons of little game experiences that are just VR related. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. One of the most interesting things I've seen recently, I think it was called Extraordinary Machine or something like that. I'd have to find it. When I find it, I'll put it in the description. But it was a small trailer. You don't actually get to see a lot of the actual gameplay, but you do get to see the gist of what they're going for in the gameplay. I'm sure it's a very early build of the game, and kind of the social interaction that you'll have with the game. And it's the positive kind of social interaction. Like, it's kind of a game you play as a group in your room, using a VR headset. And so once you see it, it's like, oh, I get it. That's really cool. Like, I want to do that. And I see these types of games, and I think that's what VR is. Now, I think there are currently some traditional game experiences that can be really improved with a VR headset. Like, anything that requires you to pilot something, whether it be a mech warrior or a starship or a biplane, that having a VR headset and being able to look around the cockpit is incredibly immersive, because you're already in a sitting position, and to be able to look around and see like your virtual body, which is one of the demos I actually used when using the VR at GDC, is it just feels so natural. Like, you're sitting and your avatar is sitting, and it just has a strange way of just making you feel like you're present in that virtual world because you're physically in the same position. I think that trying to apply it to first-person shooter types of things can get harder, but I definitely think it's worth the effort. I'll give you a very quick example. I play, one of my favorite games is Arma 3, and I play the Wasteland mod a lot, and I really enjoy, I love that thing to death. I think it's one of the most fun session-based mods, or session-based multiplayer games I've ever played. And it has if no one's ever played the Arma series or Arma 3, you'd have to understand that there's a certain function they have to allow you to pivot your head around separate from your body, and it's usually like a toggle. I think in Arma it's Alt, so you like hold Alt and you can then move your mouse and your shoulders stay where they are, your gun stays where it is, and you can look around with your head. And it's awesome. When I play, I use it all the time. But it has such an immersive feeling to be running forward and not changing your direction and like holding Alt and looking over at your buddy, and just by turning your head, and like the bottom right of your screen is filled with like your shoulder like running forward. It just is incredibly immersive. And when I play other first person shooters, I miss that. I like want to press Alt and rotate. So I think, well, how cool would it be if I could just look around with my head, like with a VR headset? And I know it's not that easy. It's not as easy as just unlocking a camera and allowing you to turn your head. There's a lot that goes into the UI and the way first-person shooters work. So I know it's not an easy process to do that, but I do want it. I want someone to really try it, to try to get it to work. Because it's not an easy process, I don't think you'll see it as often. But that's the kind of things that really excite me, is things that are intuitive to VR, things that make sense to use it with. And I think there'll be a very large peak of interest when it first comes out. You're going to see just VR stuff everywhere, and there's going to be that certain sect of people that are just like, oh, I'm so tired of all these VR things. And that's fine. But what will happen is the peak will drop, and then it'll be just another peripheral that you can use. And there will be those VR experiences over here, and there'll be all of your traditional gaming, and there'll be a small mix of games that will support both, like your racing games and flight sims and anything that requires you to pilot things. I'm sure we'll throw in the ability to kind of turn your head, because you really don't lose a lot. It's a lot easier to do that with those types of games. And so you'll have just that. It'll just kind of find its own niche, I think. And that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to see what people will do with a new platform. And I think that if you come at it from that direction and not think it's going to revolutionize gaming, because I don't think it'll revolutionize gaming, but it will definitely add more to gaming and what gaming can do. And that's particularly what I'm excited for. That's my summary on VR. I'm sure there's more to discuss about it, but that's that was this week's shows. I'm kind of excited to have finally cap off the week. I hadn't done it for a year, and now I've done 3 episodes in 6 days. And so I just want to know what everyone thinks of the show format. And please, any suggestions you have, if you want to hit the little thumbs up button, or you want to hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, please do. And I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you Monday night, probably. This is the PC Elitist, signing out.